Hey everybody, welcome back to the Calibrate Tools and DIY channel. If I have any technical difficulties, please bear with me here. I'll wait for some of you guys to come in the chat, say hi, make your presence known. Glad to have you here. We're gonna have an interesting discussion. It may not be too long, but I think it's pretty interesting. You saw the title of the live. It says the price of oil makes construction materials go through the roof. And that's the understatement of the century. Not just the price of construction materials, but pretty much everything. I mean, inflation has pretty much hit everything, okay? And trying to get it in check has been it's been a challenge, right? So we're all dealing with it, and it is what it is. But I wanted to get into why some of this stuff happens, the mechanics of it, what's going on, the current state of affairs, and what's affecting the marketplace. Okay, so come on in the chat. Let's talk about it. I know I'm in a different location today, but that's fine. Sometimes you got to change up. You guys don't even want to know what happened, why I'm in this location, to be honest with you. Okay, so we'll leave that to be that's the mystery of the day. I'll just put it like that, even to myself. You're on the live. So, guys, come on in the chat and let's talk. Let's talk, okay? So inflation, right? There's general inflation. Everybody knows the price is going up for various reasons. In this case, we're going to talk about the price of oil and how that's affecting everything, specifically building materials, construction materials. But in general, inflation affects everything, and it's not good. It's not good. So you can talk about general inflation, and you can talk about inflation specific to certain industries, right? We're going to talk about construction materials. What are construction materials? Well, you got wood, gravel, cement, lumber, which is wood, and then you have man-made construction materials, synthetic materials, right? You got plastics, you got metals, steel, certain metal alloys like aluminum alloys and so forth. Naturally occurring construction materials, like I said, like sand, aggregate, and stuff like that. Okay. If you're out in the construction world or even manufacturing, you're dealing with the problems of high prices today. I mean, let's talk about the big P word, pandemic. Right? What has the pandemic done? It's tossed everything on its head, right? Supply chain issues, and has been a major problem. Major problem. Even now, even though some stuff has started moving again, it's still a big problem. Still a lot of slowdowns. And anytime you have a shortage of something, right? Guess what? People are going to raise their prices. Pretty much, supply and demand principles kicking in. All right. What else we have here? As far as supply and demand principles kicking in. As far as okay, right. we can even talk about a couple of years ago. What else we have here? As far as okay. Hold on a second. Hold on a second, guys. Yeah, you got a little echo here. You got a little echo. Hold on, guys. Just okay. So right now, everything okay? All right. And my assistant here. So anybody remember a couple of years ago when we had the lumber issue? Remember the price of lumber just shot through the roof? I think it was in 2020. The price of lumber went through the roof. I think the next year, 2021, around May 2021, it reached its peak. Okay. And why did that happen? Well, when the pandemic hit, all the sawmills, okay, decided to shut down because they figured, hey, it's going to be a lack of demand. And they shut down the sawmills. So they shut down the machines and they laid off a lot of people, right? So not only did you have a supply shortage, you had a labor shortage. You had a double whammy there, okay? Because once again, they anticipated because of the pandemic, it would be a low demand. So if you're going to anticipate a low demand, you probably do the same thing, right? You'll slow down production, right? Well, the opposite happened. Housing prices or the housing market actually shot up. The demand for housing shot up, and the sawmills still did not ramp up production. Okay, so the price of lumber went up, right? So that shortage of supply made lumber just shoot up. I think about 3 months ago, the price of lumber is even higher now, like 3 months ago, than it was at its peak in June. In June of 2021, when it reached, I think, about $1,700, okay, per thousand board feet. Okay, because they measure lumber in per 1,000 board feet, right? So even today, actually today it's a lot lower, right? That's actually been cut in half because interest rates have gone up, right? Trying to combat inflation. And since interest rates have gone up, the housing prices have gone up as well, which has pushed a lot of people away from buying homes right now. And so the price of lumber has gone down because there's lack of demand, right? So you see this seesaw thing happening because of different factors in the economy here, okay? So you have outside factors that you can't control, like the pandemic. Even today, you have the Russia-Ukraine war affecting the price of oil. So you have a lot of different factors going on here, okay? A lot of people don't know when it came to the price of lumber as well, that the U.S. imports a lot of their lumber from different countries, right? And one of the countries that they import the lumber from is right above you. It's the big C, Canada, okay? Canada is a big exporter of lumber to the U.S. But a lot of people don't know the U.S. has been fighting with Canada, over an issue that's been going on since the 80s. It's been going on since the 80s, right? The federal government in Canada subsidizes, according to the U.S., subsidizes various markets in Canada, okay? Building materials, lumber, all that stuff. So that creates an unfair advantage for Canada, and they're selling it at the prices they want to sell at. So the U.S., in response to this, has imposed tariffs on Canada, okay, to try to level the playing field when it came to the U.S. buying lumber, right? Because they said, okay, this is unfair. Why is Canada getting over like this on us, right? Their own government is subsidizing it, but the U.S. subsidizes certain industries as well. But we're not going to get into that. So trying to stick to the topic here. So because of these factors, Canada can do whatever it wants right now. And as a result, the price of lumber is affected by that dynamic as well, the U.S.-Canada relationship in regards to commodities and stuff like that. Okay? So we had the pandemic, we had the Canada issue, okay? A I think China is also a big exporter of lumber to the U.S. and they got a couple of other countries as well. Another factor that kicks in when it comes to the prices going up for your building materials currently is the Russia-Ukraine war. Now, I think Russia currently they export about 10 billion barrels of oil a day. Okay, that's a lot of oil around the world. Around the world, they export about $10 billion. I mean, 10 million barrels of oil a day around the world. And hold on a second. And you know, even though the U.S. does not import a lot of oil from Russia, I think the U.S. imports about 700,000 barrels a day from Russia, okay, of oil. And so it's not like if that disappears because of the strained relations between Russia and the U.S., say that gets cut off. The U.S. is not necessarily going to feel it as much, but you have to understand that from a global standpoint, the war affects pipelines. You know, the Russia-Ukraine war can affect pipelines in the surrounding areas of Russia and Ukraine. It can affect pipelines all throughout Europe, and the different relationships that Russia has with different countries that the U.S. may also have a third-party relationship with. So when you look at everything's connected. It's all a web, right? It's all a web. And on some parts of the web, you may feel a greater impact. Say, for instance, the Canada-U.S. relationship. And then, but on other parts of the web, you may feel a slight impact. You may feel the web shaking a little bit, right? On that from that thing happening over there. But still, it still does affect everything else, right? Everything is still affected. Okay. So when you go to the hardware store or go to the store in general, and you see, you know, the prices shooting up, it'd be interesting to dive into the macroeconomic causes of prices going up instead of just being in shock. Okay. Yeah. So you have all these factors playing in to why prices are rising. Okay. Now, as we know, what are they trying to do to fight this problem? Because one solution may solve one problem, but it creates another problem on the other end, right? So back to the whole inflation thing, right? Like raising interest rates. Yeah, you may curb inflation, but you're also creating a problem once again in the housing market, in the real estate market. You know, when prices go up, everybody doesn't have the wherewithal to buy these high-priced homes. The last time they did that, guess what happened? Right? Guess what happened when these loans, these unethical loans were given out to people who couldn't afford these homes, right? The whole economy crashed, right? So it kind of between a rock and a hard place. I think that, you know, people need to, well, that's kind of maybe a utopian way of thinking, but you have to be more creative in how you solve these problems. And a lot of these problems are way above the average person's ability to solve them. You're talking about governments, you're talking about policies, you're talking about old beefs between, you know, countries, right? That are affecting you, are trickling down and affecting you on a micro level, right? And you're just trying to go to work, pay your bills, or you're trying to, you know, just do a project around the house or something like that. And you have to pay for what, you know, somebody up in some governmental office or something. You got to pay for the fact that he's mad because this country over there is not doing what he wants, right? And it's always the person on the bottom of the pyramid that pays the price, that bears the load of everything else that's happening above him, right? So to speak, above him. So, you know, what do you do? How do you get out? How do you escape that? How do you well, a lot of people have done, they've gone off grid. They've gone off grid, and they decided to just rough it themselves. You know, a lot of people have, you know, found alternatives to this stuff, right? So yeah, guys, just trying to give you like a when you look at the whole picture, when you look at the whole picture and you see how everything is connected and how something over there affects this over here and that over there, you understand why, you know, why you have to be financially responsible, economically savvy, and so you can make the right decisions. Okay, you can't just go off emotions or get caught by surprise, because these things happen, you know, outside of our control. They happen outside of our control, and that's just how it is. Okay. Yeah. So actually, I'm live streaming from my phone right now, and if you're watching, say, come in the chat or something, and come in the comments and say something. Say hi. Say, yeah, I hear what you're talking about, but you're confusing me or whatever. And then, you know, it's all good. Just want to get some confirmation here, guys. So yeah, it's pretty interesting when you examine the deeper issues, you know, of why things happen, whatever field you're in, whatever industry you're in. It's very interesting to find out how the macroeconomic atmosphere, so to speak, affects your decision making when you go to the, you know, when you go to the pump, when you go in the store to get whatever goods you need to get. Understand what's going on. Why do you have to spend that extra couple of dollars there? Why is that going on? Why are prices going up? When you understand why, you can make better political decisions, right? Political decisions if you're in a, well, we live in a world of politics, whether we want to accept it or not. Okay. And if you feel that politics can actually change things, then you can, you know, make decisions on who you put in office that controls this stuff, right? At least have some level of say so, right? And we're not going to get into name calling or who's in office right now. That's all, you know. I'll leave it amongst you guys to discuss that in the comments, whether it's now in the replay. But even going to the store and buying tools and, you know, doing projects has you know, the person in office, they have an effect on what you do. Now, oh, I'm sorry, guys. I was on my phone. Hey, Cha-Cha Girl, I can see the chat now. The chat is going. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, guys. You know. I was on my phone. Hey, Cha-Cha Girl, I can see the chat now. The chat is going. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, guys. You know. On my phone. Hey, Cha-Cha Girl, I can see the chat now. The chat is going. Sincere apologies, guys. Sincere apologies for that. Okay. Sincere apologies, guys. Sincere apologies for that. Okay. All right. So let me say hi to, since I've been so caught up in my spiel here, I want to go ahead and greet everybody I see in the chat right now. All right. We got Perry Girl Life Notes. How you doing? Easy 10. Hey, Easy 10. How you doing? Shout out to Easy 10. Cha-Cha Girl. Of course, you got to shout out Cha-Cha Girl. Purdy Do. How you doing, Purdy Do? Oregon loggers want to log, but there are lots of green barriers. Absolutely, absolutely. You got the. Let's talk about Let's talk about what Purdy Do said about. There are lots of green barriers. Absolutely. Yeah, you know. Let's talk about what Purdy Do said about. Okay, hold on a second. Mute. Yeah, you know. When you're talking about. Sorry for the feedback, guys. Sorry for the feedback. Technical difficulties here. When you're talking about, sorry for the feedback, guys. Sorry for the feedback. Get that out the way. Put it on mute. Can you put it on mute?
I had it on mute. I had it on mute.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. I had a lot of feedback in my ear, and like once again, I'm not in my usual location, and but you know I had to get to you guys, so I gotta see the chat. My usual location. I had to get to you guys. So I said, listen, I'm gonna come on anyway from my phone, and someone was kind enough to let me use their office to go live. Okay, I really appreciate you guys coming on and supporting, guys. So yeah, Purdy Dew mentioned. Let's talk about what Purdy Dew mentioned. Oregon loggers want to log, but there are lots of green barriers. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I talked about a lot of macroeconomic influences. You know, on the price of goods, the price of building materials, construction materials. But if you want to even get more specific into some of these issues, you got, like you said, loggers, right? You got a lot of green barriers. What does he mean by that? You got the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. You got a lot of people that are into green stuff. I don't want to call them any names, but I think the term is tree huggers, right? Hey, I love trees myself, okay, but everybody doesn't necessarily love trees, and they see them as lumber, lumber to build the houses and the buildings that you live in. Okay, so. But these groups do exist. They they do lobby in the halls of Congress for rights, for tree rights. But it's funny. Some people love trees more than they love people. But we're not going to get into that. Okay, that's a whole other deal. And so yeah, a lot of people. You have these things you got to battle on all fronts, right? So yeah, Purdy Dew, I hear you on that. I hear you on that. Okay. All right, let me see if I can scroll down this. Chat won't scroll. Hold on, let me see if I press this here. Oh, there you go. All right. I did turn down the speaker Purdy Dew. Sorry about that. Once again, technical difficulties here. Habitat protection for animals. Yeah. Purdy Dew said he got a Woody just thinking of him. Talk about a pun. Yeah, that's a hell of a pun, Purdy Dew. Yeah, I mean, hey, I'm not out there shooting or hunting, killing animals, but once again, some people love trees and animals more than they love people. I mean, you got people living in cities under bridges. Even like I said, talk about the pandemic. The pandemic had a multiplying effect on the homeless population, right? I mean, even in the city I live in, certain areas you did not see tents, and you did not see tents under every overpass that you drive under, right? I mean that now it's so prevalent, right? It's so prevalent. But then you have people talking about, okay, we got to take care of trees, or we got to make sure the animals are, and they're not. Anyway, that's a whole other discussion. Perry Girl Life Notes. We need them for oxygen. Yeah, we do need trees for oxygen. Absolutely. I won't even deny that. I won't even deny that. Okay. Yeah. So, Purdy Dew, you said you should see Portland looks apocalyptic. I always had a desire to go to Oregon because I like green. I like the greenery. Purdy Dew, you ever been to Virginia? I like green states, right? I like the greenery. But when you say it looks apocalyptic, I'm in Los Angeles, and well, Los Angeles was always apocalyptic in certain parts, but now that the apocalypse has spread all over LA, man. Very good life notes. Skyscrapers and multifamily housing taking away trees. Hey, it's called capitalism. It's called capitalism. Capitalism doesn't necessarily care about the trees. Capitalism sees the trees as, if not a way to make money via, the lumber, it's going to be a hindrance. And capitalism will bulldoze over everything that pretty much gets in its way. Yeah, we do need both, Perry Girl Life Notes. We need a balance. I do agree. That's why they have parks and recreational areas in cities, right? And good landscape designers, and I say not just a landscaper, but a landscape designer who actually plans where the parks are going to be, or where this is going to be, and all that, the recreation areas. They know how to plan a city well. Absolutely. Yeah. What city? I know Oregon is a pretty green state. Washington State's probably a pretty green state. What other state is pretty green? I know Virginia is on the East Coast, that East Coast area. But yeah, like I said, the price of oil, because the world is so dependent on oil. Let's not talk about truckers, right? Truckers, a lot of truckers are going out of business right now. A lot of owner operators are going out of business because of the price of diesel. It's putting a lot of them out of business. All because of that, that slick stuff that comes out of the earth. I don't know what you guys think about renewable energy. But Purdue said, you should look at the map of the national forest lands in Oregon. Cannabis growth has changed the farming industry. I'm sure it has. Once they made it legal, right? Guess what? They also made a lot of millionaires because of that. Yeah. Yeah, guys. So, as I said, that slick stuff that comes out of the ground, that pretty much runs the world right now. Renewable energy hasn't really taken a foothold where, stuff is not that expensive. And there's a reason for that. The oil industry does not want renewable energy to take over. It's always a war going on there. Always a war going on. Mm-hmm. So what do you do? What do you do personally in your own life to kind of curb the the price hikes? Well, I think in the last live or the other live we talked about, other places to find tools. You don't necessarily have to buy brand new tools. You can look and you can buy some. You can get some good used tools from certain places. Building materials as well. You can get some good building materials. You just got to find the places to find them. I'm gonna probably compile a list for you guys, some alternative places to get good deals on building materials, on tools, on things like that, so you won't be spending your last dollar on something. Perigo Life Notes. Yeah, taxes on the fuel is insane, says Perigo Life Notes. I'm sure it is. Yeah. They raise the prices, then they tax the hell out of you at the same time. So it's like a double whammy. It's like a double whammy. That's why you got to be creative, guys. You got to be innovative, creative when it comes to your finances and how you shop. Exactly. How you shop, where you shop. Because if you just walk into the average big box store, they're going to get you every time. Because they got to pay that rent, right? They got to pay for those brand new products, and they're going to pass the cost on to you. They got to pay for the shipping costs, and shipping has gone up. The price of fuel has affected freight, has affecting shipping, all that stuff, transportation, logistics. That truck, that whatever they were paying that trucker maybe 5 years ago is probably triple, quadruple in price to get their goods into the stores. Okay, so you're going to pay for all of that. So, group economics, right? doesn't have to be brand new all the time. Create a network, find networks where people trade materials, or they, a lot of people in the trades, they have extra materials that they never even used, right? They actually have businesses that they started from the extra materials that they haven't used, and they're giving good deals on them because they are used materials. So you just gotta be creative. This is where group economics comes in, and don't be just like a zombie walking into the big box retailers all the time. Okay. Yeah, Paragon Life Note says, research what you would like to purchase. Purdue says swap. Yeah, absolutely. Swap stuff. Remember the old days when they bartered and they swap, the swap game was big. A lot of societies they survived off of that, off the barter system. You got some grits or whatever, you got some milk that and you here's, I'll give you this for that. Purdue says swap meet. They got a lot of swap meets where you are, Purdue. I don't know if they got maybe not too many swap meets here where I am. Yeah. So yeah, it's all about community. There's ways to combat the broader things that we have, the broader influences that we have no control over. Like I mentioned, the wars, the pandemics, natural disasters, everything that can cause the price of goods and commodities to go up and, put you in a squeeze. You got no control over those things, but you do have control over the relationships that you make, the wise financial decisions that you make, the networks that you research and search out to, keep money in your pocket. Everything can be negotiated. Purdue says, been canning, building a victory garden to loosen the budget. Absolutely. I'm not one of those prepper people, but they, in some ways you got to be a prepper, right? In order to survive, things that can come down the line that you had no clue of when it was going to happen, right? Perry Girl Life Notes, thrift stores would need to try the tools. Yep. There's a guy when I drive down a main street here in LA, and he's on the side of the road selling tools all the time. I think it's maybe DeWalt tools. That I've been meaning to go check it out and see what he has. And some of you guys may be saying, well, why would I buy? I can't trust that guy. Well, it depends, man. If you got to put gas in your car and you got to go buy that brand new circular saw that you want, right, to do that job, versus not putting, it's either or. But you could go get a deal from a guy like that on the side of the street. Knowing your neighbor, Perry Girl Life Notes, knowing your neighbor to swap is important in the South. It was normal practice. Absolutely. In the South, right? Where, certain groups of certain demographics were denied rights. When you're forced to, or put it like that, when you're not allowed in certain areas to get the best goods or the best things, they're only relegated for certain people. In societies like that, you're forced to be, to practice group economics. You're forced, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. How do you survive the taxes in LA? You know what? I see, Perry Girl Life Notes is I see a lot of comments when she talks about taxes, and she knows a lot about taxes. So how do you advise, but all I can say to you, Purdue, is that sometimes I'll put it like this. If you're not creative, I'll put it like this. Get a CPA. Don't just go to what H&R Block or one of those cookie cutter tax places that, you know, get a CPA. They know how to help you survive the taxes in a state like LA. Okay, places like H&R Block and places, you know, little cookie cutter tax shops, they won't do that for you. Okay, they won't do that for you. They may get you some money back if you got a W-2, but if you got a business, man, that's why a lot of people left California. A lot of businesses have left California. They moved to more tax-friendly states like Texas. You know, Paragraph Life Note says taxes are relative to the income you earn. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I agree with that. But Paragraph Life Notes, wouldn't you agree that you got to be creative, even in you know, with that relationship? You know, because the more you earn, the more they take, right? And the only way you're going to survive that is to be creative, especially if you have a business. So, you know, if you're in the trades, man, you're dealing with building materials or you're dealing with parts. Let's just say you're a trucker. You're dealing with, if you own a truck, you're a trucker and you own a truck, you still have to get parts for that truck. You have to put money aside for accidents, for breakdowns, which will happen, for tires, insurance, all these things. Okay, if you're in a certain trade, you have to have money for whatever that trade requires, right? If you're a carpenter, you need lumber. If you're a welder, you need metal. If you're a machinist, you need parts. You need metal and parts. If you're a plumber, you need plumbing parts. You need pipes and whatever you need, right? Those are building materials. If you're a brick mason, you need cement. You need aggregate. You need sand. You know, all this stuff costs just to run your business, right? So you got to be creative. If you want to stay in business, you have to be creative, right? You got to find deals. You got to work amongst each other. If you don't, you're going to be at the mercy of the big box retailers. Pretty do. I live the stay-at-home life, taking care of my kids to avoid child care expenses. There you go. License and bonding can be expensive as heck. I would imagine that, Purdue. I would imagine. Do you homeschool? Do you homeschool your kids, Purdue? And if you homeschool your kids, I mean, how much does that run you? How much does that run you? Hold on a second here. Paragraph Life Note says, more you earn, the more you must research how to get the best tax savings. It is definitely a moving mark. Yeah, pretty much saying the same thing, Paragraph Life Notes. You know, the more you earn, the more creative you got to be, right? In order to keep the money you earn. Because trust me, they will take it. Even if you got a business, they will take it. Pretty do. Not yet, but it's on the table. Yeah, okay. But that's good stuff. You know, you're taking the reins when it comes to your kids. You know, a lot of people they don't necessarily have the guts to do that. So big ups to you, Purdue, for doing that. Taking control, full responsibility for your kids. Not sending them to a school where who knows what they're going to teach them these days. Right? Yeah, guys. So, but once again, you know, like I want to reiterate, it's when you go down the rabbit hole of why things are the way they are, why prices are rising, why they're falling. The conditions that create certain certain outcomes when it comes to like the trades or whatever trade it is, especially when you're dealing with hard goods. It's always interesting to find out how that's what's affecting that, and it's usually somebody's ego somebody's ego, and whether they're the president of some country or whatever, you're paying for that, right? So my whole goal for this live today is just to stress the point of being creative to protect yourself from the whims and fancies of somebody's ego, even if they're in high places, so-called high places. Okay. So guys, I appreciate you guys coming on live tonight and supporting. Once again, I apologize for not seeing the chat earlier on. There's a couple of people exited because of that. They felt ignored. I apologize for that. That's my fault. I'll be more diligent next time. Okay, but there was a couple of things that happened where I had to shift and I had to pivot real quick to make this live happen. I didn't want to leave you guys in the dark and just not show up at all. Pretty do. I envy your knowing how to weld. I build teardrop trailers and had to outsource the welding. It is expensive to hire a good welder to fill the need. Well, I appreciate that, Pretty do. I'm still fine-tuning my welding skills. It's definitely a great skill to have, because when you're talking about building stuff, you're either dealing with concrete, wood, or metal. Okay. If it's wood, most likely you're framing a house or something like that. If it's concrete, you know what that is. You're forming the concrete as support, and you can build high rises for that. But a lot of people don't realize metal is another main thing you use to build stuff with. And if you know how to weld or fabricate, whether it's thin metal or thick metal, you can pretty much build anything. Finding a good welder, yeah. I mean, welding doesn't really take that long. The basics of welding doesn't really take that long to learn. Okay, you got pretty much 4 processes. You have MIG welding, TIG welding, flux core welding, and stick welding. Okay, and everything else kind of just are variations of those 4. Okay, and you can learn that. You can learn it in a month, the basics of it, and then just buy a welder yourself and fine tune your skills. And you can pretty much put anything together. Hey, Cha Cha Grill, I appreciate you coming through. Once again, didn't see the chat on you. Apologize for that. Had some technical difficulties earlier, and I'm still getting this live setup right. So appreciate you coming by, Cha Cha Grill. I'll see you next time. Take care. Yeah. I don't know where you live, Purdy do, but I don't know. They got welders everywhere, right? But I'll tell you what to look for in your welds. Like, look for that penetration. A weld bead can look pretty, but if the penetration, look for penetration. Okay. So in other words, you have the weld bead, but look on the back of what's welded and see if that weld penetrated through. Oh, finding someone to keep your frame straight is not easy. Box frames. Interesting. Yeah. Finding out how to keep the frame straight in whatever you're welding. That's really, if you can do that, you pretty much got it. You get everything in place first, and then you start welding. That's getting everything in straight first is half the battle. Cha-Cha girl said she left Kelly already. Oh, Cha-Cha girl got up. She got up out of here. She got out of here. Yeah. So yeah, pretty do. I mean, it's you can learn some skill. I don't know if you know how to do some welding yourself, but it's a fascinating trade. It's interesting, and you know, you can pick it up, and then you can put a lot of stuff together yourself. You don't necessarily have to hire one, and also get you a good angle grinder, so you can grind out all the so-called ugly-looking welds. Right, an angle grinder with a flap disc will do wonders to any funny-looking welding job, as long as the penetration is good and you got the angles you need. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, guys, I appreciate you coming on. Purdy Do said, I haven't welded for years. Why'd you stop, Purdy Do? You didn't have to, right? Well, it's always good to have a welder laying around and you can get in your garage and sharpen your skills. You know, even if it's for recreation, just build something, just weld something. Because you never know, man. Things could happen where you might have to weld a fortress around here. Keep certain elements out, right? Protect yourself. Shop teacher said, I better look elsewhere. Meaning what? The shop teacher wasn't quite satisfied with your work? Is that what the shop teacher was trying to say? Purdy Do? Is that what the shop teacher was saying? Yeah. So guys, I know I keep jumping back in the chat because I like talking to you guys. I love connecting with you. Even though I said the chat's going to end in a minute. But this time, I'm going to end the chat. I'm going to end the live. Oh, man. I hear you, Purdy Do. So listen, guys. Love you guys. Thanks for coming and supporting. And I know I apologize like 10 times already, but trust me, next time that won't happen again. Some unforeseen circumstances happened where I had to pivot and use the phone, and I don't see the chat on my phone, so I didn't know what was going on. Okay, until I had to open up another computer to be able to see the chat. Okay, I want you guys to really take care of yourselves out there. You can do anything you put your mind to. All right, enough. All you got to do is focus. It's all about consistency and focus. Okay. All right, gotcha. Put those kids to bed, Purdy Do. Can't be up too late. So anyway, guys, see you next time. And I just want to give you a heads up. I got the Calibrate tools or the Calibrate.com coming up, where I'm going to have some items for you guys to get. You know, some tool kits, you know, picture hanging tools and so forth to support the channel. And these are great gift items. These are great items to have. So I'd appreciate it when I do put it up in the next couple of weeks or so. Please support the channel. You know, in exchange for, you know, the value you get from the channel. I don't want anything, you know, expect anything free from you guys. I'm not taking donation or anything. I want to give you guys something here. That's why I'm getting ready to put up the Calibrate.com site to offer you guys ways to support the channel. Okay, so and support the brands as well and get some in return. So guys, once again, love you. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time.